In most of the world, Nisha Sharma would be considered quite a catch. Young, pretty, intelligent. Someone any young man would be proud to marry. Her only problem is that she lives in India, where a woman is generally acceptable as a bride only if her parents offer the groom's family a sizable bribe, otherwise known as a dowry, that can cost her family as much as $100,000. Worse than that, after the marriage, thousands of women in India have been murdered if they can't pay extortionate demands that often come from their husband's family. Demanding a dowry has been illegal in India for more than 40 years, but the tradition is so entrenched that almost no one defies it. Certainly not the family of Nisha Sharma, a 21-year-old college student studying computer programming in New Delhi. Before her wedding day earlier this year, her father made a deal with the groom's family. Like most in India, her marriage to a computer instructor was arranged. What did you think when you saw him? Did you think he was nice, good-looking, the right guy for you?
When he came, first time came to my house, I thought he's very hardworking, smart guy, best for me.
Nisha's father, who owns a car battery factory, found the groom by placing an ad in the local paper, and then he negotiated Nisha's dowry with the groom's family. He says they insisted he give them 2 sets of appliances, one for the new couple and one for the groom's brother.
One is here, one is another side.
2 washing machines, 2 fridges.
2 fridges.
Her father saved for 10 years to pay for the car, the reception, and even this wedding video. But it still wasn't enough. Flower girls were already welcoming the groom and 1,500 guests when, says Nisha's father, the groom's mother made a last-minute demand, another $25,000 in cash.
People call it gift, I call it blackmailing.
When Nisha's father refused to pay, the wedding video captured this souvenir, a shoving match between the 2 families. That's when Nisha made a split-second decision that changed her life forever. And what did you do?
I called the police and said, I don't want to marry that guy.
What made you call the police?
Because that time I was thinking that they don't came to marry with me. They just came to marry with the money.
The police arrested Nisha's would-be husband and her story caused an immediate sensation. But instead of being ostracized, Nisha became a national hero, a poster girl for all those fighting to rid India of dowry abuse. And it wasn't just the activists saluting her. Nisha started getting support and even love letters from people all over India. Dear Nisha ji, I'm 25 years of age, unmarried person. That's a marriage proposal.
I think so. You are reading it?
Yes, indeed. Guys weren't scared of you?
No, they are not scaring from me.
Nisha may even become India's new superhero in a soon-to-be-released action comic book. What does this say?
It's Nisha Shakti, Nisha Power.
Nisha Power.
Yeah.
Is it all a bit overwhelming? Is it all a bit too much?
It's too much for me because I am so small and fame is so big.
But Nisha's battle is an uphill struggle because in today's consumer-oriented India, lavish weddings and huge dowries have become the norm, complete with parades of elephants and carriages fit for a king and queen. It's a way for the bride's family to show off their wealth and status and to buy the most eligible groom. By speaking out and breaking the silence that surrounds dowry, Nisha has inspired other young women to ditch their greedy grooms. And that's good news for women's rights activist Ranjana Kumari, who's been fighting against this tradition for more than 20 years. You refuse to attend any wedding in India, even weddings of your closest friends. Why is that?
Yes, I can't go because I have seen what happens when dowry is taken and given, and the kind of cases that come to our centers and the kind of tortures and harassment that our girls go through. You see, dowry is not one-time deal in Indian marriages. If he's setting up a business, he will start putting pressure on the wife. Get money from your family. He has to buy a car. He will say, okay. No, it's easy money. It's money you can extract from the girl's family.
It's extortion.
It's extortion. Certainly it's extortion.
This wing of Delhi's maximum security prison is reserved exclusively for mothers-in-law and their accomplices. They're all either convicted or accused of dowry-related crimes. Police here report nearly 7,000 women are murdered every year, and human rights groups say that number could be as high as 25,000, all killed by greedy husbands and in-laws trying to squeeze more money out of young brides. And to avoid later crushing debts that go with marriages, many Indian families are now aborting all their girl babies.
Certainly there is a link. You see, the parents who think about the economic burden that they will carry, that it is sometimes 10 times more than their income, life income. And if it is a female child, just female fetus, abort it.
The problem got worse when women were able to tell the sex of their unborn child at cheap ultrasound clinics. And so many girls have been aborted that it's now causing a dangerous population imbalance. It's gotten so bad, the Indian government has now banned prenatal sex determination tests. But that has only driven them underground, as Dr. Risha Tanwar discovered.
We've had a number of sessions with a number of gynecologists, radiologists, and even though they know that this is totally legally banned, but they have gone on record by saying that they've had cases of women come to their clinics, one single person come to their clinics 7 or 8 times to get an abortion done because it was a female child.
But what really shocked Dr. Tanwar is the latest census figures in her state, showing that now almost twice as many boys as girls are being born among the better off and the literate. Across the country in Bombay, doctors Anirudh and Anjali Malpani run an IVF clinic, one of the only ones in the world that pre-selected embryos to guarantee the birth of a boy. But that too has just been declared illegal, much to Dr. Malpani's disgust.
I think it's perfectly ethical and acceptable to use the technology. I actually think it's unethical not to use it and let someone else sit in judgment and say, no, because you're an Indian couple, you should not be allowed to have a boy. The whole point of living in a democracy is that you allow individuals to make decisions for themselves.
That would be nice, except that the individuals who are making those decisions in this case are talking about killing off girls because they're girls.
My point is you're effectively saying, I am the right person to make that decision, and that particular individual is too stupid to make that decision for herself. Therefore, I'm taking that right away from her.
Doctor, you know very well why people make those decisions. It's got nothing to do with freedom of choice or best interest, and everything to do with economic burden.
When you're sitting in these ivory towers and you're looking at census figures, when it doesn't pinch you or hurt you, it's okay to spout a lot of wisdom, but it's very difficult to actually bring up a girl in these sort of conditions.
But the effects of the shortage of girls is not something Richa Tanwar sees from an ivory tower. It's already causing problems.
When these children come of marriageable age, they are not going to find girls for marriage. And life for girls is going to be very difficult. They're going to be kidnapped, raped, picked up, sold, bought. I fear to think what will happen if this goes on.
Some of those fears are already being realized in this village in northern India. How many of you guys aren't married and want wives and can't find wives?
100.
Bhushan Das is this village's Hindu priest. Do you think what's happening here to your village, this lack of women, is that a warning, do you think, for the rest of India?
It's a very alarming situation because if we can't control this now, the crisis will spread to all of India. Without women, our world will come to an end.
We are all struggling farmers here, and we have to take on heavy debts to pay for big weddings and dowries. So that is why people go for ultrasounds and abort their girls.
The only way that will change is if the dowry custom is eliminated first. And that's why Nisha's story has hit such a nerve here. A lot of women and a lot of women's organizations are looking to you to be the symbol of the anti-dowry movement. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I want to become a symbol for the girls. Dowry is a black spot on our country, or I can say on the earth.
In our part of the country, in fact, it's people grieve when a daughter is born in the family. There's no celebration.
Sad.
Very sad.
Is there a chance that Anisha Sharma, her kind of story, what she did, can turn this around?
Definitely. In fact, it is these girls, these kind of cases, which are going to encourage others to emulate this example and put a stop to it. If girls themselves put their foot down, maybe some change would come. What is the other way? I don't see any other way.